Morning, Gareth. It's the morning after the night before, 12 hours later. How do you reflect on what's happened on and off the pitch and also on social media over the last 12 hours?
Well, I'm not totally across everything, but my first thoughts this morning are immediately with the boys that have done so well for us, and the players have had an incredible togetherness and spirit, which I think has brought so many parts of our country together. So they should be, and I think they are, incredibly proud of what they've done. For some of them to be abused is unforgivable, really. I know a lot of that has come from abroad. The people that track those things have been able to explain that, but not all of it, and it's just not what we stand for. We I think have been a beacon of light in bringing people together, in people being able to relate to the national team, and the national team stands for everybody, and so that togetherness has to continue, and we've shown the power our country has when it does come together and has that energy and positivity together. We felt that from the fans, and I'm incredibly proud of the players. And as I said yesterday, the game we needed to win in the 120 minutes. We were a little bit short in that period. Then it's my decision who takes the penalties. It's not a case of players not volunteering or more experienced players backing out. They didn't have the chance. That was my choice, nobody else's. My decision to give the guys that took it the penalties that they took. Still got huge belief in them. So those boys have done a brilliant job, and we heal together as a team now, and we're there for them. And I know that 99% of the public will be as well, because they will appreciate how well they've played. Bukayo in particular has been an absolute star in this tournament. Incredible maturity, the way he's played. Has brought a smile to so many people's faces. He's become such a hugely popular member of the group, and I know he's got everybody's support.
Thank you, Jerry. Next we'll go to Dan Kilpatrick, The Standard.
Morning, Gareth.
Morning.
Your boss, Mark Bulling, has said he'd like to give you a new contract. I wondered if you'd had a chance to think about your future yet, and whether you might sign that.
I don't think now's an appropriate time to think about anything. We've got, of course, to qualify for Qatar, but I need some time to go away, watch last night's game again, reflect on the whole tournament. I need a rest. It's amazing experience, but to lead your country in these tournaments takes its toll, and I need a break now. So it's I said at the time it was great to have that internal support. You hugely value that as a manager, but also there's a lot to think through. It's not about finance in any way or commitment. I don't want to commit to anything longer than I should, and I never want to outstay my welcome. So so all of those things need consideration before even thinking about sitting down and talking. But as I sit here today, I would want to be taking the team to Qatar. I feel that we've made progress over the 4 years. We've had a fourth place, a third place, and a second place. It's probably as good as any other team in Europe, bar those that have won the tournaments themselves. But for consistency, it's right up there. So a lot of things we've done right, and we know this team isn't at its peak yet. But that doesn't guarantee winning, because we know how difficult it is to get back to the stage we got to last night. That's why it's so painful to get so close.
Thanks, Dan. Next we'll take a couple from Jessica Creighton from Sky Sports News.
Good morning, Gareth. There were some really big tactical calls that you made throughout this tournament, and almost all of them seem to have paid off. How do you reflect on what you've learned as a manager yourself, and how you've developed as a manager over the course of this camp?
Well, look, I think you're always learning as a manager. I've had the opportunity now to manage some of the biggest games in world football, so those games take you through an incredible roller coaster, and there are so many decisions to make across the 4 or 5 weeks. You're never going to get them all right, and we would never claim to have got them all right, and sometimes you win matches despite certain decisions, and sometimes you lose matches when maybe they were still the right decisions to make. So it's all part of learning. Every coach, every manager is going to reflect on every game that they take charge of, and be better for all of the experiences that you go through. So that process is never ending, really.
And when you reflect, and you haven't had an awful lot of time to reflect so far, but do you feel there are any decisions you could have made last night to change the result?
Yeah, I think I need to watch the game back. It's 2.5 hours, pretty much, where so much has happened that to be able to go through the timeline of all of that now is there's too much gone on during the game, since the game, to really be able to reflect properly. So I need time to do that. It's always important to watch it back and to give a true account of that, I think.
One of the big positives, I think, to come out of this tournament was the emergence of such young and exciting players. Bukayo Saka, of course, Calvin Phillips, Jadon Sancho. What do you think they will take away from this experience and being part of this England camp?
Well, we've wanted for a long time to make playing for England fun, make playing for England enjoyable. I think our players now have that. When they come away with England, I think they've had a fabulous experience. They've loved the adventure. They've loved each other's company. They've got an incredible spirit. It really is a club type spirit, and the younger ones especially. All of this team can go again. There's no doubt about that. But the young ones are still 2-4 years from peaking, and we've got 18, 19, 20-year-olds who've done an incredible job and had a great insight into tournament football and acquitted themselves so well throughout. So I know, as I reflect over the coming days, there are a huge number of positives from that, and those players will be far better for going through so many important wins, so many important landmarks that they set, historic performances. In the main, they performed under the huge pressure of being at home for the majority of the tournament, being one of the favourites. That was a far different situation to the team when we went to Russia, and they dealt with that so well in the opening game, in the game with Germany, in the semi-final. For a large part of the final, certainly the first half of the final, they dealt with that. And we probably had a 20-minute period where we didn't keep the ball as well as we needed to, just after half-time. But then even the rest of the game was fairly even, although we couldn't create the clear chances that we've been able to in the past. And part of that is because we were against a team that have gone 30 games unbeaten, and some incredibly experienced players, and a team that are probably just a little bit further ahead than us in their development and their progress.
Thanks, Jess. Next we go to Carrie Brown, beIN Sports.
Hello, Gareth. Can you hear me?
We can, yeah.
Yep.
Hello. Ultimately, this is the first team to reach a final in 55 years. You have to reflect and look back on that, but it seems that the camp and yourself are struggling to really embrace that today. Is that just a show of how great your ambitions are?
Yeah, I think I know in time that we will, we will have an appreciation of that, and I know the messages we're all getting that are underlining that. But when you're in sport and you get to finals, you know that those opportunities are so rare, and to be so close, and to know what that's taken, and to know you've got to pick yourself up and go again. That's very hard the day after. You've given everything, and the energy levels are low, and the emotions are drained. So we will go again, of course. But yeah, sometimes it's easy to say things like, "Oh, we can go on to Qatar now and win," and it's a bit glib, really. That's a long journey. We've still got to qualify. We've still got steps to take, and you've got all the complexities of release of players throughout the qualifying period and everything else that you have to start that cycle again. So this has been fantastic to have the time with the players that we get, to be able to work with the players every day, really embed the culture, embed our way of playing. Those periods are what you live for as an international manager, and of course when it comes to the end it's very difficult.
I'll take the second question, as we're limited on time for everyone. As chair of the FWA, to thank yourself, Gareth, but also your communications team, Andy, who we see today, Louisa, Greg, Anna, Joe, Callum, and many others. You really have changed communications and how it works with broadcasters, with journalists. You've given us an enormous amount of time in a very pressured situation, and we truly appreciate that. And many journalists that couldn't have been at the games because of COVID as well will find that hard, but you have gone out of your way. We hope that has helped the journey somewhat, but we do have to thank you for that, and we hope that many relationships can go forward in the same way.
No, that's very kind. I'm very fortunate to lead some incredible staff, and you've highlighted the guys in the communications department, but all of our staff are in all areas of special people, and that's why we've been able to create the culture we have. I'm fortunate I sit at the top, and as the leader you get all the praise, but the work in the background is phenomenal in all departments, and it's a privilege to work with everybody, and we don't have the team we have without that support.
Thanks, Gary.
If I could have one more, then it would be about your coaching staff. How important have they been in this journey?
Yeah, it's critical. The roles are too big for the manager to do everything. The detail that we're able to go to. We've had some consistency, and we've had some changes within that group, and Martin Margetson has been with us, through the last couple of campaigns, and has done a brilliant job. We had Graham and Chris with us this time, which was, added something different to the group, and I'm grateful for what they did. But I have to highlight Steve Holland. He's a phenomenal coach, a phenomenal man. It's the calls between us at 11:30 at night at times of the season when nobody's thinking about England. With travelling back from matches, talking into the early hours, trying to plan things, trying to get things right, and without his support and the quality of his work, there's no way we could have got to the stages we have in the last couple of tournaments. So I'm fully indebted to what he's done.
Thanks, Gary. Next to John Murray at BBC 5 Live.
Hi, Gareth.
Hi, John.
I understand that you need to see the match back, but I'm sure it's been going around in your head over and over again. What is at the forefront of your mind about what you might have done differently last night?
Well, look, I think we picked a team because of a tactical problem that Italy pose, and areas of the pitch we needed to get pressure on them and where we thought we could hurt them. And I think for the first 45 minutes everybody would agree that that worked. We didn't keep the ball well enough for a 15-20 minute period, and we know that with midfield players of the quality of Verratti, Jorginho, that is always going to be a strength with Italy, so they are going to have possession. We were actually controlling the game without the ball for long periods, but that period we were a little bit more open. We then couldn't release that pressure by keeping the ball, which we had done so well in the first half. We changed the shape, which I think gave us a little bit more control, but it did open up spaces elsewhere. So any tactical change, you have strengths, and then there are weaknesses to any system. They went with a false nine for a period, which is difficult to deal with. If your defenders step out, they leave spaces. If they stay in, then you get overloaded a little bit in midfield. So that's always a really difficult problem for any team to solve. And we didn't quite create the chances that we would have liked to, but you're against a team who are incredible in terms of their defensive power as a team, not just the two centre-backs. So yeah, there are lots of things that I will reflect on. Of course, we do that after every game, and that is the right process to go through. But until you watch the game in absolute detail, then I wouldn't be giving you a fully accurate appraisal of that.
Thanks, John. Next, the faker of us, a TalkSport.
Hi, Gareth. Jordan Pickford was superb last night. His contribution, obviously easy to be overlooked because of the result in the end, but he was excellent.
He was. I thought he had a brilliant tournament. I mean, there are a lot of players who come into that category, and you don't get to a final without so many players having played well, and that's what happened for us. So Jordan has often been, you know, the number of times I've sat here and his place in the team has been questioned, and he's constantly delivered for us. And this tournament, I think, was his best run of performances for England, and he should be hugely proud of that. To concede 2 goals in 7 matches, you know, our whole defence, our whole team, but of course the goalkeeper was a big part of that. 2 saves in the shootout. So, you know, he could do a little more in terms of keeping the ball out of our net, and that's always the starting point for any goalkeeper. So, yeah, he had a really outstanding tournament.
Thanks, Faye. Next to Henry Winter of the Times.
Hi, Gareth. Gareth, this is all very civilised for a post-tournament defeat. Are we and are England too nice to win?
Well, I don't see that really. We've got to a final, first time for 55 years. Yeah, I'm not sure. Not really sure what a team that gets to a final. You're not a nice team to get to a final. I think we've overcome a lot of hurdles that we've never been able to in the past. We know that a lot of players that are still very inexperienced in terms of international football and have delivered at an incredibly high level. The more experienced players in the big matches were really able to use that experience to defeat Germany, who had an incredibly experienced team, to come through a semi-final, which was hugely challenging experience for them. And we've taken Italy, who are a top team and an unbeaten in 30, right to the wire. So if we'd been torn apart or it looked a mess, then I might be thinking differently about it. But of course, we're going to analyse everything, but also we're going to be realistic about that and not just dive into things that aren't reality and aren't the reason for not having won. It's easy to throw theories around at the end of any game in any number of areas, but I think it's important to really reflect carefully and analyse carefully when you're the coach, because I don't want to go along with narratives that probably aren't correct, but also I have to reflect on everything that's asked, which is totally fair.
Martin Samuel, Daily Mail.
Hi Gareth. Italy have now won 4 World Cups. I think it's the second European Championship. I know we've tried to play down history and everything throughout the tournament, the significance of it. But is there something in what happened last night about the fact it's 55 years, it's so long for us, and the only way you really overcome that is by getting to as many finals, almost getting to these situations as many times as countries like Italy, countries like Germany, countries like Argentina do, because they have experience of winning, they have experience of losing. It adds massively to the football culture that those players inherit.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's I remember when we looked back at Germany's win in 2014, they'd been to semi-finals and semi-final in their own country when they hosted 2006, and the pain of that, but also the experience of that. And yeah, if you want sustained success as a team, you have to constantly be evolving, constantly improving, constantly finishing in those latter stages. And most teams that win, France went through what we're feeling now, 2016. Germany did it, as I said. Spain went close a couple of times before they won. That is normally part of the process that you have to go through. And the fact that we've had the first signs of some consistency, semi-final, final, has to be a step in the right direction. It's not ultimately where we wanted to get to, and when you're so close, that's even more painful. Of course, it's it feels like stomach's been ripped out this morning. But I know when my logical brain comes back to life in a few days that is the process we have to go through, and we've got to keep continuing that. And England have to keep that track going. Whoever is here, whoever's at the FA, whoever's at St George's Park, that's what we have to build. That was the vision at the start, and we're showing the signs with the help of the clubs who are producing some fantastic young players. All of those things have to align, because any part of that football pyramid that isn't strong affects the national team. And at the moment, lots of things are starting to come together, and we have to continue that.
John Cross, Mirror.
Hi, Gareth. Good morning. I was just really going to ask you, generally at the end of a tournament, at the end of a tournament cycle, you see the end of an era for a team. But you're hardly really going to lose any players, are you, for 2022? You've maybe got a couple of over 30s. In a similar vein, I guess it feels like the beginning for this team, doesn't it? They've gained experience, and this could be the beginning of the journey for a lot of those young players.
Well, I think Russia was the beginning. We had 7, I think, in the starting team last night from Russia. And that experience has been critical through the big matches in this tournament. So to add the young players in at the times we did, the inexperienced players in at the times we did, there's another group with more learning, more understanding of that high level. They will, because of what they've been through in these 2 tournaments, they'll want more. They'll know they can get close. They'll have belief. and that's what we have to build on. It doesn't guarantee anything, because of course you have to start again, and you have to earn the right every time you take the field and every time you go into a tournament. But the cycle and the expectation of the group when they come together now will be, no, this is how it works. This is how we train every day. This is what's needed. This is what we need to do to get to the level to win, and that should be a process that stands us in good stead.
Thanks, John. Next to Simon Peach, Press Association.
Morning, Gareth. I just wanted to follow on from that, really. What happened with the group? Are they gone now? Are they still together? Did you have one last meeting together? And what support processes are in place? I know you said last night that it's about the collective rather than any individuals, but we've discussed the sickening abuse aimed at some of those players. What support processes are there for them? Yeah,
we've got to make sure that we're there and aligned with their clubs, and making sure that we look after those boys, absolutely. And that's been top of my thinking all night, really. Sorry, I've forgotten the first part of the question, Simon.
Sorry, it was just about what's happened in terms of the players going their separate ways. Have you met up again? Or?
Obviously, there was a long period in the dressing room last night. They then went to meet with their families across the road. So they had, I'm told they had a nice sort of evening together. I managed to see them all individually for a few moments before they left the dressing room, because I knew everybody would be sort of heading their own direction at the end of the game, and I just wanted to thank them all for what they've given, because they've been a joy to work with. They really have bought into everything we've tried to do, been totally unselfish in their outlook. They've all, given everything they possibly could. So I'm tremendously grateful for that, and I know the country is, because you can sense from the reactions of people. So, but yeah, they'll all head on their way now. They need a break, they need a rest, and I hope they all have a fantastic summer.
Thanks, Simon. Next to Matt Dunn, The Express.
Hi, Gareth. It's so much different from the post-mortem after the last Euros. And like you said earlier, 2 semi-finals and a final now makes us consistently one of the best teams in Europe. And I think we've done that by anticipating what the opposition are doing and adapting accordingly. I just wondered, by 2022, will we be in a position more to imprint our own identity onto games, and perhaps with the young talent that we've got, see more of that attacking flair that we've got on an individual level coming through in our sort of open play? And is that the aim, or is that going to be too soon for that?
No, it's that has to be the aim. I think some of those players are not yet at that point of their evolution to be cemented in the team, and I think also there were so many, even coming into this tournament, there were so many things that were uncertain in terms of being able to embed one way of playing, the injuries we came in with, the availability that we came in with. We weren't quite sure defensively what we were going to look with. I have to say, Tyrone did a fantastic job coming into a massive situation at the beginning of the tournament. We had that huge doubt over Harry Maguire at the start, and to have defended as well as we did throughout the tournament, without having been able to play that back four together too often, really, in the 2 years before. Luke only came back in with us in March for one game. He had a phenomenal tournament, I have to say, as well. So we were constantly dealing with uncertainties. We didn't know, Calvin Phillips, amazing tournament. We weren't sure we were going to have him in the week leading into the first camp. So remarkable year, really, in terms of trying to build something consistent. We never had the players all together until 7 days before the start of the tournament itself, and you'd like to have built across the whole season, but that wasn't the realities of the season we had. That should be the aim moving forward. In some areas of the team, we've got clear strength and players who were in form, and in other areas of the team we don't have quite the same amount of strength, and we've had to do it differently and do it our way, and by adapting and adjusting we've managed to get to a final. So of course you're always looking for perfection, and we're always looking to improve, and we must continue to do that.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, we're coming to the end now, so we've got time for a couple more, starting with Rob Harris from AP.
Hi Gareth, commiserations, thanks for everything for the tournament. Does it frustrate you, and are you reflecting on how to tackle how you've got players who've generated such pride from the country during these last few weeks, but you're still having to deal and address the fact there are fans who are being disrespectful, offensive and violent, and not the image that you want, and certainly completely counter to the image that the players have presented?
Yeah, look, I mean, we can't control that. We can only set the example that we believe we should, and represent the country in the way that we feel you should when you're representing England. And everybody has to remember when they support the team that they also represent England and should represent what we stand for. So I think the players have done that brilliantly, and we can only continue to try to affect the things that we can, but we have, I think, had a positive effect on lots of areas of society, but we can't affect everything. Other people have responsibilities in those areas, and you know, we've all got to work collectively to constantly improve those things.
Thanks, Rob. And we'll finish with a question from Ollie Foster at the BBC.
Hi there, Gareth. Hi, Gareth. Apologies. Just as those players are really hurting at the moment, especially the three that missed the penalties, you say you take the sort of collective responsibility and the responsibility as well. How much does it hurt you that you perhaps didn't get things right about, you talk about failing to solve those problems that Roberto Mancini set you?
Yeah, look, as a manager, you have to accept whenever there's a defeat, there's going to be intense analysis of everything that happened in the game, and we've benefited from a lot of praise during the tournament, and if we didn't get that right last night, if I didn't get that right last night, then I have to accept that as well. So I think some of that analysis could be accurate, and I expect some of it won't be. But you know, I need time to reflect on all of that. It's yeah, you make hundreds of decisions in the course of a week, in the course of a tournament. There are even more, and you're not going to get all of those right. You call them as you see them at the time, and you've got to get more right than wrong. And if I didn't get the calls right last night, then so be it. I have to live with that.
Sorry to disappoint the many hands raised. We're going to conclude it there, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you all for your coverage across the course of this tournament.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Gareth.
Thanks for everything. Cheers,
everybody.
Cheers, Gareth. All the best.